I swear I wasn't looking for anything that day. It was just another Saturday, another chore on my mom's endless list. Fix the leaky faucet, carry the boxes from the garage, maybe finally sweep the porch. That was when I saw her, standing at the edge of our driveway, squinting down at a half-broken step she was trying to fix on her own. I'd seen her before. She was my mom's friend, the one who sometimes came by for tea, who always smiled politely but never lingered long. Her name was Claire. Mid-40s, maybe a little older, though age didn't really suit her. It was more like she wore it the way some people wear a heavy coat, practical, but never defining. Need a hand? I asked before I could think. She straightened, brushing sawdust from her jeans, and gave me this half-smile, one corner of her mouth turning up, the other holding back, like she wasn't sure she should accept. It's nothing. I've been meaning to fix this step for weeks. Just can't seem to get it right. The board was loose, nails bent. She'd been wrestling with it using the wrong tools. I grabbed my set from the garage, and for a while, the only sound was the creak of wood and the hammer's soft thud. She stood nearby, arms crossed, watching me with this strange attentiveness, as if I wasn't just fixing a step but proving something she hadn't asked for. You're good at this, she said finally. I shrugged. I've had practice. Mom keeps me busy. There was silence after that. Not the comfortable kind. More like the air was holding something back. I could feel her eyes on me, then darting away whenever I glanced up. I worked slower than I needed to, pretending to measure twice, just so the moment wouldn't end too soon. When I finished, she tested the step with her weight. Solid. She nodded, lips pressed together, and then, almost under her breath, she said, You remind me of someone I used to know. I wanted to ask who, but her voice carried a tone that told me not to. Some ghost of her past had slipped in between us. Instead, I joked, Hopefully someone handy. Her laugh was short, soft, and it ended quicker than I wanted. She tucked her hair behind her ear, glancing toward her house like she'd remembered she was supposed to be somewhere else. Thank you, she said, and then, almost sharply, But you shouldn't waste your time with me. The words hung heavier than they should have. I frowned. It wasn't a waste. That made her pause. Her eyes softened, but then she shook her head. You're kind, but I'm too old for you. The sentence cut clean through the air. She said it like a warning, like she was drawing a line before I'd even stepped close to it. My throat tightened. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that I hadn't thought about age once while standing next to her, watching her laugh, noticing the way her fingers lingered too long on the edge of the wooden step. But I didn't. I just stood there, hammer still in my hand, heart racing too fast for such a simple conversation. She turned, ready to go. I thought she'd leave it there, that the moment would collapse into silence. But then, she brushed past me, her hand grazing mine, barely touching, yet enough to make every thought I had stumble out of order. Her voice was quiet, lower than before. Don't read into it. It was just a slip. But her eyes told a different story. And for the first time, I knew this wasn't going to end the way she thought it would. I couldn't shake it. That brush of her hand, her warning words, the way her eyes betrayed them. The step was fixed, but Claire lingered on the porch longer than she had to. She kept looking toward her door, then back at me, like she was stuck deciding whether to retreat or something else. Coffee? She asked suddenly, like she regretted it the second it slipped out. Her voice caught, and she quickly added, I mean, you probably have plans, I don't. I said too fast. Her brow furrowed, the tiniest crease between her eyes. You shouldn't say yes so easily. But I followed her inside anyway. Her house was quiet in the way places are when someone lives alone, every object in its place, no shoes by the door except her own, no TV noise filling the silence. She set her keys down with a clink that echoed too loudly, then busied herself with the coffee maker, as if it required all her attention. I sat at the table, watching her move. She wore a faded gray t-shirt, hair tied back loosely, a smudge of dust still on her jeans from the step. Nothing extraordinary. And yet, I couldn't stop cataloging everything. The way she bit her lip when the machine sputtered, the way her shoulders dipped as though the room itself pressed down on her. "You're staring," she said without turning. "Sorry," I muttered. Silence stretched. Then she said quietly, "It's been a bad year. I don't usually let people see me like this." That cracked something open. A breakup? A divorce? I didn't ask, though I wanted to. Instead, I just nodded, gripping the edge of my chair. "You look fine." She gave a small laugh at that, not amused, more like startled. "You're young. You don't know what it's like to feel used up." The words hit harder than I expected. I wanted to argue, tell her she was wrong, that she looked anything but used up. But my throat tightened, betraying me. The coffee maker hissed, filling the silence. She poured 2 mugs, sliding one across the table. Our fingers almost touched again, but this time she pulled back fast, like the surface had burned her. I tried to sip, but the coffee was scalding bitter. Or maybe it was just the way her presence shifted the air around me. "Why me?" I asked before I could stop myself. Her eyes flicked up sharp. "What do you mean?" I shrugged, forcing my voice low. "You could have asked anyone for help. But you waited. For me." Her hand tightened around her mug. She didn't answer right away. Then, finally, "Because you make things feel lighter. And I don't know if that's fair to you." The room went very still. I leaned forward, every muscle tense, the words almost spilling out. "It's not unfair, I want this, I want you." But I swallowed them back. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping the floor. For a second I thought I'd ruined it. But then she touched my arm, just a brief, careful press of her hand, like she needed to test if I was real. "Stay a little longer," she said. And I knew I couldn't leave, even if I should. The longer I sat there, the harder it became to pretend we were just 2 people sharing coffee. The air between us felt charged, like the pause before a storm, all static and restless. Claire sat across from me, cradling her mug in both hands, her gaze fixed on the steam rising between us. Every so often she'd look up, almost like she wanted to speak, then stop herself. I wanted to break the silence, but my chest was tight. My head screamed at me to keep it casual, but my eyes betrayed me, drawn to the curve of her wrist, the way her thumb tapped absently against porcelain. Finally she sighed. "You remind me of when I used to believe things could still start over." Her voice cracked on the last words, and for a second I thought she might cry. I leaned forward instinctively. "Claire!" But before I could finish, her phone buzzed against the counter. The sound made us both flinch. She didn't move at first, then rose too quickly, nearly knocking her chair over. "It's fine," she muttered, grabbing the phone. I caught a glimpse of the screen, a man's name. She stared at it too long, lips pressed tight, before silencing the call and setting it face down. My pulse hammered. "X?" I asked carefully. Her eyes snapped to mine, sharp, then softened almost immediately. "Doesn't matter." She sat back down, a little closer this time, as though the effort of brushing it off had pulled her nearer. "He always knows when to call at the wrong time." Wrong time. The words clung to me. I should have let it go. I should have stood, thanked her for the coffee, and left before my thoughts got ahead of me. But instead I asked, "And what's the right time?" Her lips parted like she had an answer, but she stayed quiet. The silence swelled again, thick, fragile. I forced myself to lean back, to create distance. My chair scraped, loud against the floor, like a warning shot. But then she reached for me. Not my hand, not anything deliberate. Just her fingers brushing the table, drifting dangerously close to mine. I froze. "Don't," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I was warning her or myself. She tilted her head, studying me. "Don't what?" My throat burned with words I couldn't say. Don't look at me like that. Don't make me want something I can't have. Don't make this harder. Instead, I said nothing. Her phone buzzed again. She ignored it this time. Her eyes never left mine. Slowly, carefully, she let her hand rest flat on the table, an inch from mine, close enough that the heat of her skin bled into the space between. I should have pulled away. I didn't. And in that suspended moment, with the unanswered call humming in the silence, it felt inevitable that one of us would cross that inch of space. The hum of her silenced phone still hung between us. I couldn't stop staring at the faint red glow of the missed call, as though it was daring me to acknowledge what this moment really meant. Claire shifted in her chair, but she didn't move away. If anything, she leaned closer. Her hand was still resting on the table, steady now, deliberate. The distance between us, barely an inch, felt like a chasm either of us should cross. I swallowed. Why do you keep doing that? Her eyes flicked up. Doing what? Pulling me in, then pushing me away. The words escaped sharper than I meant, but I didn't take them back. My voice was low, almost shaking. She blinked, her lips parting. For a long moment she didn't speak, and then she whispered, "Because I don't trust myself with you." The honesty of it knocked the air out of me. My chest tightened, not from guilt, not even from fear, but from the way her confession cracked something raw and vulnerable open between us. I leaned forward without thinking. "What's so dangerous about me?" Her laugh was short, hollow. "Everything. Your age. Your timing. The way you look at me like I'm worth looking at." She exhaled, shaky. "You don't know what that does to someone who thought her best years were already behind her." Her words hit deeper than any touch. I clenched my hands under the table to stop them from reaching for hers. "Maybe you're wrong," I said. "Maybe the best part is still ahead." That made her freeze. She studied me like she was searching for the boy in me, the one who was supposed to back down. But all she found was the man who couldn't look away. Seconds dragged. Her breathing was uneven now, and so was mine. "I can't," she murmured finally, shaking her head. "You don't understand how complicated this is. Your mother, my mom, doesn't decide who I stopped myself, jaw tight. I almost said love. Her eyes widened, as if she'd heard the word anyway. The silence that followed was louder than anything. We sat like that, hearts racing, words circling the air but never landing. Then, slowly, she pushed her chair back and stood. For a moment, I thought she was ending it. Instead, she stepped around the table, close enough that I could smell her, coffee and sawdust, warmth and something I couldn't name. She set her hand on the back of my chair, steadying herself as though the room tilted. Her voice was low, rough. "If I asked you to stop coming here, would you?" The question pierced straight through me. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Her eyes locked on mine, waiting, daring, terrified of the answer. And in that silence, with everything trembling on the edge, I realized neither of us could turn back. Her question, "Would you stop coming here?" still rang in my ears. My mouth stayed dry, no answer forming. But before I could try, the silence was broken not by me, but by her doorbell. The sound was sharp, intrusive. Claire jerked back as if caught doing something wrong. Her hand slipped from the chair, and she pressed her lips together. "Stay here," she whispered, almost panicked. I stood anyway, following her into the hallway. At the door stood my mom. I froze. My chest clenched, the air snapping tight. Claire stiffened beside me, caught off guard. My mom's face lit up when she saw us, then faltered at the sight of me standing so close to Claire. "I didn't expect you two together," Mom said slowly. Claire's voice wavered. "Your son was just helping me with the porch step. It gave me trouble." My mom's eyes lingered on us longer than they needed to. She nodded, but suspicion shaded her expression. "Well, good. I was just dropping off those books you wanted. She handed Claire a small stack, her smile taut. I stayed quiet, heat crawling up my neck. Claire's hand brushed mine lightly as she reached for the books, as if warning me not to say more. When Mom finally left, the silence she left behind was worse than the interruption. Claire shut the door, leaning against it with a long exhale. That was too close. I turned, my voice breaking harsher than I meant. Why do you act like this is some crime? We're not doing anything wrong. She shot me a look, sharp, pained. Not wrong? She's your mother. I'm her friend. Do you understand how badly this could hurt her? The truth hit me hard. But it wasn't what stopped me. It was what came next, her whisper, barely audible. And it's not just her I'm afraid of hurting. I stepped closer. Who then? Her eyes flickered away. Myself. That admission cracked everything open. I stared at her, unable to breathe for a second. So it's not that you don't want this, I said carefully. It's that you do. Her shoulders tightened. She turned her back to me, setting the books down on a shelf. You think you've uncovered something. But you don't know me, not really. Yes, I do, I said, firmer now. I notice everything. The way you bite your lip when you're holding something back. How you laugh but cut it short before it can sound too real. How you touch me like you're afraid of your own hand. She froze. My words pinned her there. Slowly she turned back, her face raw, exposed. You shouldn't see those things, she whispered. But I do. For the first time, she didn't look away. Her silence said more than words ever could, an acknowledgement, a surrender, or maybe a warning. And I knew, after this, nothing between us would stay hidden. The weight of her silence pressed harder than words ever could. She stood there, back against the door she had just closed, her chest rising unevenly, her eyes on me like I was both the problem and the answer. I couldn't take it anymore. Claire, I said, my voice unsteady. Tell me to stop. Tell me I'm imagining all of this, and I'll walk out that door right now. She didn't answer. The seconds stretched thin, and something inside me cracked open. I can't keep pretending this doesn't matter. You're in my head when I wake up, when I try to sleep. My voice caught, but I pushed through. I can't look at you and act like it's just coffee and broken porch steps. Her hands trembled where they rested against the doorframe. She pressed her palms flat, as if holding herself upright. You think I don't feel it? She whispered. You think I don't want to give in? The rawness of her words made my breath catch. I took a step toward her, then stopped, gripping the edge of the table to ground myself. Then why keep fighting it? I asked, my throat tight. Her laugh was sharp, brittle. Because wanting you terrifies me. Because if I let this happen, I don't know if I'll know how to stop. We stared at each other, either of us moving, both of us shaking with everything unspoken. Then, slowly, she dropped her hands from the door and crossed the space between us. Her fingers brushed mine, hesitant, trembling, but this time she didn't pull away. I'm too old for you, she said again, but softer now, almost breaking. I closed my hand around hers, steadying it. Then let me be the one to decide if that matters. Her breath hitched. The fight in her eyes faltered, replaced by something raw, unguarded. And then, finally, she leaned in. The kiss wasn't perfect. It wasn't smooth or planned. It was messy, rushed, like both of us were afraid it would vanish if we hesitated. Her lips trembled against mine, and my hands shook when I reached for her. But it was real. When we finally pulled apart, her forehead rested against mine. She closed her eyes, her voice breaking into the quiet. You don't know what you're asking of me. I swallowed hard. Then tell me. Tell me what you need, and I'll give it. Just don't shut me out. Her eyes opened, glassy but steady. I need you to mean it. Not just now, not just because it feels dangerous. I need you to mean it when it gets hard, I tightened my grip on her hand, steady, certain. Then I'll prove it. For the first time, she didn't argue. She didn't retreat. She just held on to me, as though letting go might undo everything we had finally admitted. And in that quiet, everything between us changed. The house was quiet again. The phone had stopped buzzing. The step outside was fixed. And yet nothing was the same. Claire and I sat close on the couch, our hands still loosely joined, either of us letting go though the silence stretched. The kiss lingered on my lips, but more than that, the weight of what it meant lingered heavier. She finally spoke first. Her voice was low, careful, almost afraid to echo. If we do this, there's no pretending it didn't happen. No going back to being just your mother's friend. I nodded slowly. I don't want to go back. Her eyes searched mine for a long time, like she was testing if I understood what I was signing up for. I stayed steady, even as my chest thudded with nerves. You're young, she said softly, not like an insult but like a plea. You could walk away now and have an easier life. Someone your age, someone uncomplicated. I squeezed her hand tighter. Claire, I don't want easy. I want real. And this? I gestured between us, the small space charged with something bigger than either of us. This is the most real thing I've ever felt. Her lips parted, but no words came. I saw her walls crack again, the ones she had built so carefully out of fear, regret, and years of convincing herself she was past all this. Slowly, her eyes softened, and for the first time she didn't argue. She just breathed out, shaky but free. Something in the room shifted then. The tension didn't vanish, but it turned into something steadier, a fragile hope either of us had dared to claim before. I used to think my chance was gone, she whispered, her head resting lightly against my shoulder. That I'd missed it, that the best I could do was watch life happen from a distance. And now? I asked. She tilted her face up toward mine, her eyes steady, shining. Now I think maybe I was wrong. That was all I needed to hear. We didn't rush into anything more. No grand declarations, no dramatic promises. Just the quiet truth of being there, side by side, with no more pretending. For once, the silence between us didn't feel heavy. It felt like breathing. I knew the world outside might not understand. My mom, her friends, the whispers, it would all come. But I also knew this, I would choose her anyway. Because sometimes the things that scare us most are the ones worth holding on to. And sometimes love doesn't arrive when it's easy, it shows up when it's impossible to ignore. Claire smiled then, small and hesitant, but real. And in that moment, I believed her. I believed us. Sparkles, did you enjoy the story? Thought Balloon, what kind of stories would you like to hear next?